Let's catch you up on a few international stories that are on our radar. It's time for Rapid Fire. And here to help us break all of it down is Seema Modi. And first up, Seema, France. It's in a tough state right now. It needs a new prime minister again. The country's fifth in less than 2 years, resigning just weeks after his appointment. That sent French stocks lower and yields higher as the government still has to pass a 2026 budget. Can they get their act together?
This is the shortest lived premiership in the history of France. The prime minister was there for 27 days, and now France has had 4 different prime ministers in the span of 12 months. The issue at hand, Dom, is finalizing a budget. Party leaders remain divided on how to cut expenses and raise revenue. Every time they try to raise taxes, there's protests on the street. And global and bond investors are now taking notice. They're becoming more discerning on which country's debt they want to hold. We've seen elevated yields across Europe over the past year, but specifically France, that's where it's playing out. A country that was seen as stable for many years, now literally the problem child of the Eurozone. Morningstar now expects this country to have the highest fiscal deficit of any country across the Eurozone this year.
A lot of folks looking at that yield differential between German and French debt right now as well. All right, next up, we've got the surging Nikkei after the ruling Liberal Democratic Party chose Sanae Takaichi as its head over the weekend. Now, Takaichi is an advocate of Abenomics, reducing market expectations of a BOJ rate hike later on this month. Japanese equities did close higher by nearly 5% on the news, while the yen and long-term bonds tumbled. So an interesting dynamic playing out in a large developed economy.
And this stock market in Japan has been on a hot streak, Dom, right? It's already up 20% this year after gaining 24% last year. Add to that now a new prime minister who is pro-growth, anti-immigration, and has shown her interest in keeping rates lower for the long term. And that's why you're seeing the markets respond positively. The dollar's also rallied against the Japanese yen. And interesting to see, once again, how the bond market is responding with the 2-year coming down, but the 30-year going up on this idea that maybe she will keep rates lower in the long term, and that could be supportive for the economy. But again, the Nikkei has done quite well this year.
All right, and finally, another day, another deal for OpenAI, adding AMD to its list of partners. But is it all to compete against DeepSeek out in China? They released an experimental version of their current model last week with AI better equipped at handling long conversations or documents, and it runs at, guess what, half the cost of previous versions. So is this a game changer?
Well, we were trying to understand what is behind OpenAI's flurry of deals with AMD, NVIDIA. I spoke to Brad Gerstner over at Altimeter Capital, and he was saying, listen, these are announcements. They're not deployments. We will see what gets delivered. And he said ultimately the best chips will win. He also adds there's more evidence that the world will remain compute constrained despite best efforts to bring massive supply online. We know that when we talk about geopolitics, AI, Dom, is at the center of this when looking at the rivalry between the United States and China.